Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. And before we really get into it, there's a little gnat flying around me. So if you see me swatting like a crazy person, it's because I'm trying to kill this gnat. But anyway, we're going to get into this little story time video. And I'm talking to you guys at my new vanity. And I'm sitting right here with natural lighting and I love it. I can look out my window. I love it. And this rocking chair, it's so comfortable. So I think I'm going to do my videos from now on here as long as I feel okay and not sitting in my bed because I don't have to hold my phone. It frees up my hands. So this video I'm going to talk about scleroderma, when I got diagnosed and how I found out I had it. So a few years ago, my husband was deployed. He was out to sea and he was on a long deployment. It was like a 5 to 6 month deployment. Me and my 3 kids had just sat down for dinner. I remember exactly what I made because that's what caused me to have this issue. I made pork chops, baked potato, and a side of a vegetable. And I cut up my food, the pork chops, all the time just because I don't like to sit there and constantly be cutting and my hands hurt. It's just quicker to cut it all up and be done. My kids were eating, I was eating, everything was fine. We were talking about the day and just whatnot and all that stuff. And I remember eating and a piece did not go down that well. It was like, felt like it was stuck. And I was like, okay, so I'm drinking water, trying to clear my throat. And this time it's restricting my airways. I'm choking. So I'm like going like this, and of course my kids are like, oh my God, what do we do? My oldest son gets up very calmly, comes around me, and is like hitting me. Then I stand up because it's still not coming up. So he started to do the Heimlich on me, and it came up, ran to the trash can, ended up having to vomit everything out. I scraped my plate. I was like, I'm done with that crap. Hugged my son. I was like, oh my God, I didn't even know you knew to do that. And none of my kids were crying, but my youngest was very worried. I was like, I'm okay. Just food went down the wrong way, Didn't think anything of it. Then the next night, I ended up having more issues. And I remember, oh my God, like what the heck? Well, apparently that piece that came up wasn't fully up. I had food still stuck in there, and I had to be rushed to the hospital by my girlfriend. We had a friend come over, stay with the kids, and my other girlfriend came and rushed me legit to the ER. I was choking. I mean, she ran red lights. It was horrible. I thought I was going to die in her car because I could not breathe. I was gasping for air. They rushed me back. They did the GI they called it the GI cocktail twice. Milk of magnesium and something else to coat my esophagus and help. And they were like, you need to see a gastroenterologist ASAP. And they had to do a scope on me and like dislodge it. And come to find out, I have esophageal dysmotility, which is a non-functioning esophagus, which means your esophagus is supposed to swallow and contract when you eat, and mine failed. 10 out of 10 swallows failed, meaning my esophagus does not swallow or contract. It's just an open, hollow tube. And I found out it was because of scleroderma. Not only do I have esophageal dysmotility, I have dysphagia, which is just like spasming muscle, causes issues. My LES, which is your lower esophageal sphincter, it is the valve where at the end of your esophagus to your stomach, it's supposed to open and close, letting food in and out, food out, and making sure the juices from your stomach doesn't come up. Mine stayed open, so I was having acid reflux problems, which they labeled it as GERDs. It was where your stomach acid comes from your stomach all the way up to your stomach, your esophagus, and it causes damage to your esophagus and can come all the way up into your mouth, which mine was. And it had been doing that for who knows how long, and it had eroded my esophagus. They said my esophagus looked like I had hills and crevices. I had 2 hernias. I had severe ulcers that had tried to heal and was reopened, and that's why I was having a lot of chest pain and felt like I was having heart attacks because of that. So they put me on medication for that. They said I would have to have my esophagus dilated and stretched every few months because of the damage, so it made it easier for food to get down. They said long term, eventually, I would probably need a feeding tube, a G tube, which is a tube put into your abdomen so you can get nutrients and stuff that you need. But they said that they don't know when that would need to happen. It's just, it would be in your future. So I'm like, great, that's just great. So I found out I had that, so I had to go see my rheumatologist, and this is where I get very angry. My rheumatologist at the time was like, yeah, so you were tested in 2013, and did you not know? Would I be sitting here looking at you like, what are you talking about? So I'm like, no, I don't know. So he diagnosed me in 2013, ran the test and everything, and didn't tell me. Didn't even know he was running a test to even ask what it would say, because didn't know he was doing it. So I decided I couldn't trust him anymore and went and got a new doctor ASAP. Went and saw my pulmonologist because scleroderma affects every part of your body inside and out. It is overproduction of collagen, meaning it tightens your face. Every part of your skin is tightened. So it causes a lot of issues. Your organs can turn to stone because it's calcifying, which I had a problem with my placenta calcifying with my last 2 pregnancies. So that makes sense. A lot of symptoms I deal with now make sense for what I dealt with back then. I have lupus too, but everyone was just thinking it was lupus related because no one knew that I had this other issue with scleroderma. I was labeled with systemic scleroderma. I have the diffuse kind because of all the involvement I have. My GI tract is involved. I have now lung involvement because when I went to my pulmonary doctor, I found out at that appointment I needed a double lung transplant. My lungs function 22%. And my lung capacity is 54%. I wasn't being looked at by a pulmonologist for several years, since 2013 to 2016 at the time. Or no, it was 2017 then. So I went several years without having a pulmonologist keep up with me because at the time no one treated it like it was serious. They never told me I needed to make a regular appointment. So if your doctor's not treating it seriously, you aren't either. So I didn't have proper treatment, and now it was like, well, crap, like, she told me I needed to start a medication called Cellcept. It was to keep my lungs stable. Now, there's nothing that can improve it. There's just a medications that I do is to keep it stable for as long as possible until I can have a double lung transplant. Because I'm not at that critical stage where it's like, oh, we need to rush, we need to do a transplant ASAP. No, that's not it. They are doing everything now to prep me, so there's no roadblocks in my way. So when it comes to that time, I'm good to go. I can have the transplant, nothing standing in my way. So I went to the transplant team to see what are the qualifications, what I need to do if there's anything standing in my way, which, there was. At the time, I was 257 pounds. My weight was a factor why I got denied, and my GERDs. So we knew we had to fix 2 issues. Now with GERDs, you can there's several procedures and surgeries that can fix GERDs from happening. And that's why when I went and saw the GI team at Mayo, they offered that I would benefit from gastric bypass because of all the limitations and problems I have. Weight was not going to come off me without help. Yes, I could lose weight. I've lost maybe 25 to 30 pounds max, but I needed a lot more weight to qualify. I was 257. For my height, my weight is supposed to be 140. I've been that before, but not for a very long time. So we set course for the gastric bypass, and that's what I did. It took from the fall of 2018. You go through a lot of process, classes, insurance, all that stuff. You have to take all these steps first before you're approved. And people at Mayo, the team at Mayo, they only do the gastric bypass at Mayo for a medical reason. And of course, mine was so I can get new lungs. So I went through all that. April 2019, I had my gastric bypass. And right now, I am 165. I've lost 93 pounds total. My goal weight is 140. I'm almost there. It's been 6 months since my surgery. So it's been a crazy few years. I had to get oxygen. I wear 3 to 4 liters when I'm up walking. That's why I've showed you guys, like I have that oxygen machine that sits by my bed. Has 50-foot tubing. So when I have the camera on and it's flipped around and I'm walking around, I have my oxygen on. You just can't hear it and you don't see it because, well, the oxygen machine stays in my room. I have a portable oxygen concentrator that I can plug in and I take everywhere and I wear anytime I'm out and about. I used to have to use an electric wheelchair and I try not to because I try to get as much exercise as I can. It takes me longer, and yes, I'm wiped out after I go to the store because with this diseases comes a lot of limitations. But that doesn't mean I don't do things. A lot of people are, my family are always telling me, be careful, don't do too much. And I just laugh because it's like, it doesn't matter what I do. I'm going to get tired. I could do one small thing like this video. Even though I'm sitting in this chair, I will have to take a rest from just doing a video. So it doesn't really matter what I do. I have the same effect. So it does suck. I deal with a lot of issues. Scleroderma is the one disease right now taking havoc. And the one thing that sucks about this disease is it's not curable. So even though I need a double lung transplant, it doesn't stop the disease from attacking my new lungs. It could start damaging my new lungs, which I could end up needing a second transplant. But luckily now they know what it is and they can keep me on proper treatment, and hopefully that never has to happen. We're trying to prolong my transplant for as long as possible. And that's because I'm young. I have 3 young kids. Life expectancy after transplant is like 5 to 7 years, and that is just not acceptable to me. Doesn't mean, oh, you're for sure gonna like not make it after 7 years. I've known people in my transplant support groups that's 10 plus years out, 20 years out, and they have no signs of issues. So does not mean that something bad's gonna happen after those years. It's just the possibility of it is unknown, and it's scary to me, and I don't want to, have to go to a transplant. Now I'm just counting down my time. So we're trying to prolong that as long as possible. I'm not on CellCept anymore because after my gastric bypass, I had to do liquid form, and my body wasn't responding to liquid form. I was throwing it up. So I am doing chemo. And I have a port, which you can kind of see. I know it's kind of weird, the outline right here. It's a little triangle power port. I get blood work done from it and infusions. I had it put in because of my scleroderma. My skin is starting to harden and thicken so much that they can't get me with labs anymore. When I would go and get like my EGD done, which is the scope for your esophagus, they couldn't get me. They stuck me 15 times everywhere. My neck twice, my legs, my arms. They ended up having to get an IV in between my toes because my skin was rejecting the needles. So I had a port put in that same day right after I had the scope done. Went in for surgery to have that in because it just made my life a lot easier, and it has. So if I need blood work, IVs, medication, it all goes in there. It's been a lifesaver because it's so easy to access. So I go once a month to get chemo. To keep my lungs stable. And the last time I did it, last month, I didn't know what to expect. I was given a low dose. So I go on the 10th of this month to get my second one. I have to do it for 6 months. So I get the second dose, and it's going to be increased some more. And I'm nervous, but it's to keep my lungs stable. After the 6 month, I don't know what we do. I don't know if we keep doing it, take a break, and then do it again. But I have to be on some type of medication for my scleroderma and to keep my lungs stable. So there's a lot of stuff that I'm dealing with. I haven't really, I think, processed it all because it's just been one thing after another for the past few years. But I do sit down, I think, oh my God, like, especially with this gastric bypass, there was a goal and I'm almost at that goal. I think that's what's terrifying me, is that once I hit my goal, I go back to transplant and I talk to them about what I need to do when they think I'm going to need to do the transplant. And I'm terrified. I don't want to have the surgery at all. If I don't need to for a long time, I will be very happy. Because the idea of someone having to cut me open and take out two things that you definitely need to survive, and then putting in lungs that you don't know if your body's going to accept, because rejection and that whole process is terrifying. You're in the ICU for like 6 to 8 weeks after, and I'm terrified of that. Now at Mayo, everyone's mentions to me what they're building at Mayo here in Florida, and I'm very excited about this. They are building a lung center here at Mayo, and this lung center is it's supposed to regenerate your lungs. So your damaged, diseased lungs can be regenerated into healthy lungs, and then that cuts down the transplant list. That takes out rejection, because they're your lungs just made healthy. I am praying that when it comes time that I can get into that. I'm very hopeful that that's what I can do. It would be a better option, I think, for me. My nerves would be not as shot. Yeah, I would still be nervous because it's a big surgery, things can happen. But I'd rather have that than having someone's lungs given to me, and I don't know if my body's going to accept it. It's terrifying that I can go into a surgery and not come out of it. And which you're like that with any surgery, But I think of my kids and my husband, and they don't know. My older kids know the severity of what could have happened. But my youngest, he's 7. He doesn't, and I don't want to worry him because he had separation issues last a couple of years ago. He did not want to leave when we found out about it, and he would get so anxious to go to school, and he was terrified because he was afraid that when I went to the doctor, I wasn't going to come home. So he would cry, he would get sick, and it was horrible. So we had to quit talking about certain things where he might hear, and telling the kids anything unless we needed to, which luckily we haven't had to say anything unless, like, especially with surgery. And when I had my gastric bypass surgery, he did not want to leave the hospital. He wanted to stay with me, and I had to tell him, like, no, I'm fine, it's just they have to watch me. It didn't matter. Like, he didn't want to leave my side. So, I shouldn't have to. At 33, I'll be 34 this month. Years ago, I started, when I found out about my lungs and this whole scleroderma stuff and researching it, it's terrifying. I have always written these letters when I found out I was first sick at 21, when I had my kids. Each kid, they have these letters in a box, and it's for certain ages. So if I wasn't there, they had these letters of what advice I would give them for that age or whatever life, um, whatever you go through, like if you're going through puberty and how I dealt with it, and like, especially because I have a daughter, like she can't go to her dad or doesn't want to go to her dad for certain things, she can read these letters. So when I would make it to that age, I would rip up the letters and then write a new letter for whatever next age. So, I was there for my daughter's time of the month in puberty, so I threw that letter away. Threw my son's letter away, and my youngest has letters, and it scares me because like I want to be there for my kids getting married and having kids and having grandkids. Um, on Amazon, I am ordering this letters to my grandchild thing. It's letters that you write that you want your grandkids to know about you, stuff like that. Like a keepsake. So when you have grandkids, they can read it, because I think it's a neat idea to do while you're young, so you don't forget certain things that you want to tell your grandkids. And because I had a great grandma that had Alzheimer's, that would have been amazing for her to have written stuff down, and I could have kept it and then read to my kids who didn't get to meet her. But I think more like this, because I'm sick, and if I'm not here, I know I left them with everything that I wanted to leave, and they can read it. I write my diary every day, so they have those to read. Um, I know it's depressing. I think about that all the time. It is horrible that I have to think that way, but it's stupid if you don't, because it can happen. Every day is a gift from God. I have people in my support group that share about so-and-so didn't make it, and they suffer with the exact same things as me, the same problems, and it's a reality check, and it's terrifying at the same time. But I know as a mom and a wife that I'm doing everything I can for them. I write down, I have a recipe book, I have all my favorite recipes that my family has enjoyed in there. They have these videos. I take tons of pictures. Even though people make fun of selfies, I do them with my kids and my husband, so they have those, My husband takes pictures, but he's not like me, He's a man. He doesn't think of, I need to take all these pictures and whatever. But yeah, this is me, real and raw, and I'm sorry I'm a hot mess, but it's emotional. This disease sucks. It takes so much away from you. My life was forever changed that day in that doctor's office last year, finding out that I needed new lungs. You don't know how much you take for granted until things are taken from you. And August 24, 2016, my life was hindered from when I had my first back fusion. That forever messed me up. And then come to find out, surgeries cause, more trauma to my body, in which trauma causes stress, and stress amplifies diseases and causes more issues. So that's why we try to minimize surgeries the best that we can, because it's not good for me. It can cause more issues that I don't know about, and that's happened. And I have to have another back surgery after the holidays because I have a fractured tailbone because of my sciatic nerve. My sciatic nerve is severed, and I have permanent nerve damage. I have neuropathy. So I have pain that shoots down my legs constantly, and they give out a lot, and that's what happened. My legs gave out, and I fell, and I fractured my tailbone where I had my fusion. So this will be the third one, because I had a revision 9 months after my first fusion, because of complications and stuff like that. And I'm not looking forward to that, because it's going to be a severe I don't know if they're going to have to take the metal out again and put it back in, but it's a horrible recovery for me. 6 to 8 weeks of no bending, twisting, lifting, doing really anything. And I just, it's almost like you want to throw your hands up like, okay, I get it. Like, just give me a break, please. Like, 30s, 20s sucked because besides, the only thing good about being in my 20s was my babies. But 20s was crappy health-wise. And my 30s has not been any better. It's been, I would say, worse because I found out a lot more in my 30s. I'm going to be 34, and yeah, it's just been chaotic and crazy, and that's my life. Yeah, I'm used to dealing with health issues. Do I want to deal with it? No, who wants to? But I do. I get people all the time like, oh, you're so strong, you're a fighter, and it's like, yeah, but at the same time, I'm just like, I'm just doing what any person would do. And I can handle pain a lot better than some, but I think it's because now I'm kind of numb to it. I'm just, you know, nothing new. Like, I've dealt with this for 14 plus years. I can't tell you the last time I've felt normal. I can't tell you the last time I haven't had chronic pain where it's 24/7. You know, I have a morphine pain pump in my body. That's why I'm able to do these videos. That's why I'm able to do anything that I do. I have pain meds being pumped through my system 24/7. I actually go in 2 days to have my pain pump filled. I go once every 3 months. The doctor administrates the drug into my abdomen, into my pain pump. Everything is 100% controlled by him. I have nothing to do with it. It makes it mess-free. I don't have to worry about, oops, I took too much or whatever, because my doctor controls it, and it's great. I have 70% of my pain under control. Now, I have normal everyday aches and pains that is going to come with having illness and whatever, but I can take a muscle relaxer only now and have no problems. I know that I can rest and do whatever I need better than I could before the pain pump. Before the pain pump, oh my God, I couldn't get out of bed. So this has been a godsend, and he can tweak it and give me an increase if I need it, which I'm probably going to talk to him at this appointment because I think my body's kind of mellowed out to the dosage and I need it just tweaked a little bit. But it's been amazing for me. So I'm going to get off here because now I am a hot mess. I need to go eat something and go and relax. Hope you guys have an amazing day, and just remember that people like me that you're seeing all this might look okay, but like I just explained to you guys, that's not the case. I show you what I want you to see, and what I want you to see is that yes, I look okay, but that's not really the truth. There's many times I'm like this, a crying mess, feeling miserable because of whatever I've dealt with that day. And my channel is to spread awareness that just because you're chronically ill does not mean you can't do things. And being chronically ill can look like this. You can look okay. You can be disabled and look like this. You can be disabled and not be in a wheelchair. There's days we drive around with my manual wheelchair in my back of my van in case I have a day where I need it and the places we're at don't have one. So there's days where I might need a wheelchair and there's days I might not. It just depends on my body. And no matter what, I have oxygen on anytime I'm out and about. So people don't really give me that many looks anymore when I'm parking into handicap spot. But you would be shocked at how many people have given me looks in the past or said some things. And I'm that person that if I hear you talking some I'm going to say it. to your face. I'm not going to say it under my breath and behind your back. If you got something to say it to me, and then I'm going to put you in your place and make you look like a fool. So, yeah, it's been a crazy ride, people. But it's been 30 minutes, and I'm going to get off here. So, thank you so much for your time. And again, I am sorry that I cried and looked a hot mess, but like I said, this is real, this is raw, this is unedited, and I hope you guys have an amazing day. Bye.